Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed? Where's Dr. Shealy?
Where? He's sitting at his desk.
Are you blissed?
I am.
You are. You know, Dr. Shealy, I was in Springfield, Missouri last week. And I was at the traffic light pulling into Sam's Club on Sunshine. And I saw this white SUV with the Audi badge on it. I could have sworn that was Dr. Shealy. Could that have been Dr. Shealy?
It certainly could
have. I wanted to wave to you, but you were going the other way, and we missed you. Well, Dr. Shealy, what is new with Dr. Shealy? Do you have anything that you'd like to report?
You know, it's been a quiet week at Lake Wobegon.
Yeah. It's been quiet here at the farm, except for the hydraulic failures we've had. We're trying to get the hay done. You know, we are in a drought here. You know, 2 weeks ago the grass was pretty green. Now it's turning brown very quickly, and we're scrambling trying to get the hay done. And, Mrs. Finelli and our son were out just for 45 minutes yesterday afternoon. They decided to check on the cows, and I was working here at the farm. And they just went up the road to check one of the cows in the fields. And they came back, red from the sun. I believe the sun is hotter than it's ever been before. Do you think that's possible, Dr. Shealy, in terms of ultraviolet rays and getting, sunburn faster than ever before? Because that's what I'm saying.
Well, if our the air over us is thinning in some way, because or whatever, yes, it's certainly possible. Or it could be amplified by certain reflections in the atmosphere. In other words, all the crap that your government is putting out.
I got to tell you that ever since Donald J. Trump has been running the show at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we have had fewer chemtrails over the skies of the farm, for sure, and over Springfield. When I travel there and look up, I don't see anywhere near the chemtrails. I see clouds. It almost looks like the 1950s, the 1960s, in my opinion. And it's bright and sunny, and sun's shining on the solar panels, and we're generating electricity, and it's all working pretty well. And it's kind of refreshing, but it does feel like the sun is stronger. I can't stay out, without protection, without a hat, long sleeve shirt, under the canopy of a tractor, sunshade kind of thing, or in a cab of a tractor. And what we're doing now is we're working early in the morning. We're getting up early, and we're going outside to do our outside work early, because it gets when the sun is directly overhead, it's just unbearable to get much done, unless you're out of the sun. And that's what we're doing. Dr. Shealy, one of the things that I've been thinking about is when people take their medications. Some people take them with whatever they have. Some people will just pop whatever pills that they think they need to take in their mouth, and just like one small sip of water, rather than a full glass of water or half a glass of water. What are your thoughts about how much liquid should be taken when we consume medication, and how and what should that liquid be? Should it be just water, or can it be something else?
I honestly can't tell you what is ideal. I can tell you what I do. I drink a quart of water within the first hour of getting up, And during that time, I take my handful of vitamins.
And that's what I try to do as well. The only thing is, I drink weak tea, and what I mean by that is I will make you know those pots that restaurants have. They're kind of like a globe almost with a flat bottom, and they're made out of Pyrex. And I will put one of those on the gas stove with one tea bag, just one green tea bag, and I'll make that, and I will drink just that all day, along with some water too, and juices and things. But weak tea, and I'm wondering, is that good or bad? Because it is a diuretic. There's no question about it, in my mind.
Well, yeah, but I don't consider weak tea that big a diuretic. I certainly see no harm in that.
Okay. I know that when I drink a half a pot of that weak tea, starting maybe at 7 o'clock p.m. and continue maybe till 9 or 10, I'm up a bunch of times at night. and it is, I mean, it's, you just go and go and go and go and go from drinking that much fluid. What about watermelon, Dr. Shealy? Can you overdo eating watermelon?
I don't know about you, but my intestinal system can be overdone with watermelon. I love watermelon. But if I eat too much of it, I can't tell you what that is. I know my servings. I'll get diarrhea.
Yeah, that does not happen to me. However, it seems like it's a pretty good diuretic as well. And what I was wondering about watermelon, I mean, this is the season for watermelon, is it possible that if we ate watermelon if it did not affect our digestive system, let's say we just ate watermelon for 3 or 4 servings, big servings, for a week, hot summer days. Is it possible that we could purge minerals from our system just by the effects of the diuretic in watermelon?
I suspect so, but I don't know. After all, there are minerals and vitamins in the watermelon itself, so you're getting some replacement with it.
Yeah, I really like watermelon, and I'm wondering if that would help people lose weight. If when they're hungry, and they said, I'm going to eat something that really doesn't have a lot of fat, a lot of calories. I'm just going to have some watermelon. And then, wait till the hunger pangs go away. And then, have a little bit of food later. And then just slowly dial down the calorie consumption. Do you think that would be an appropriate way to lose weight? I mean, here's what I'm thinking. To me, it seems that to lose weight, if someone wants to, you need to exercise. You need to burn off some of those calories. And that's nothing new. I mean, we've been told that for years and years and years. Is that true? It seems like it.
Oh, yeah. But the single best way to lose weight is to eat the number of calories you need to get that lower weight and avoid eating a lot of carbohydrates.
Yep.
In other words, protein in general and non-carbohydrate foods don't cause you to get fat.
Non-carbohydrate food. So we're talking about pasta, bread.
About grains of all kind, including pasta, and potatoes.
Including sweet potatoes?
Well, sweet potatoes seem to be better tolerated than all the others. On the other hand, if you were to eat a half a pound or more of sweet potatoes every meal, you're not going to lose weight.
Okay. Do you have an update for us on the scalar energy?
No. Lou will be bringing me our new scalar device probably about mid-August. Claude Swanson, meanwhile, has agreed to attempt to build a scalar energy device or output measurement device. Nobody's ever done that before. And that would be a great addition.
And he thinks that we have the technology to measure this
believes
energy?
He can do it, yes. I mean, if it's energy, you ought to be able to measure it.
Theoretically, sure. Unless it's beyond the scope of what we know how to build. For example, here's why I'm saying this. It used to be that when we were, in the early days of the modern personal computer, for example, they were running at 8 million cycles per second, or 8 megahertz. And then there was 16 megahertz, and then 25, and 33, and 50. And pretty soon we got to 500 megahertz, which is half a gigahertz, then a gigahertz, and then, on up to 2 gigahertz. And pretty soon we're at the point where we just can't make these devices go any faster. And so typically, if you have a pretty darn fast computer today, you're around 3 gigahertz. But there aren't any 40 gigahertz computers or 50 gigahertz computers that we can buy. So what I'm saying is, we seem to have gotten stuck where we're having trouble making the technology run faster. And if we're having trouble with that, and scalar energy is a really fast frequency, if you will, and I don't know if it is.
But Tektronix was making, back in the mid-'90s when I bought one, a signal analyzer, which is an oscilloscope essentially, which could measure up to 100 gigahertz. And
that's right.
I've still got that old gadget.
Yeah, we were in California in the 1980s. We were using the Tektronix oscilloscopes. That was the industry standard, no question about it. Yeah. And there are spectrum analyzers that can go probably, maybe a little higher. But I'm wondering if scalar energy is even higher than that, Dr. Shealy. Do we know?
Well, we don't know. No, that we don't know.
Okay. I was thinking about, just common eating habits. And what I'm saying is, most of us have been taught to eat 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some people say, I don't eat breakfast. I'm going to skip breakfast. I skip it all the time. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. I eat 3 meals a day. Is it important? Is it important for our health and well-being to have regular meals on a regular schedule 3 times a day rather than 2 times a day or 4 times a day? Or what is the best way to go for general overall health? Can we talk about that when we come back?
Yep.
Okay. Dr. Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. And you can sign up for the newsletter right there. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. Medical doctor, brain surgeon, surgeon of the year, broadcaster, Native American medicine man, author of over 30 books. And he's with us today, and we're talking about eating well. And specifically, we're discussing the number of meals. How many meals do you need to eat, and do they need to be regularly scheduled meals in order to be healthy? Now, obviously, we have to eat the right food and avoid toxins, but what about the regular schedule of eating meals, Dr. Shealy? What are your thoughts?
There's very good evidence that the most important meal of the day is breakfast. And so eating, a moderate number of calories to start the day helps preserve your body's whole total health better than any other meal. Eating a heavy meal in the evening, especially if it's less than 3 hours before bedtime, is the second most unhealthy thing to do. In other words, the most unhealthy is to skip breakfast. Second most unhealthy is to eat a large meal within less than 3 hours of bedtime. Now, depending upon your workload, you may or may not need a meal in the middle of the day. For people who sit all day, who don't do much exercise, then I see no absolute need to eat a meal in the middle of the day. But to a great extent, it depends on how much energy you're putting out.
So for those who are keyboard warriors at work, and they just sit behind the screen and they don't move much, are you saying that it's possible that you can overdo it, have too many calories, and then help that rear end spread wider and wider?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm seeing. When I go to offices where people sit behind the keyboards, it looks like they need bigger and bigger or wider chairs. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Okay. Well, that's good to know. But I've been taught, with my lifestyle, 3 meals a day. And does that seem right for the kind of thing that I do and that you do? That we're busy and racing around and really active. So for active people, 3 meals a day.
I agree. Absolutely.
Okay. So, Dr. Shealy, I got an email this morning, and as you may know, I'm running for the board of directors of the local electrical cooperative.
You're brave,
and I decided. So I have the attention of the CEO and the general manager, and he's been spending a lot of time over the last run plus this run. We spent a couple hours together, either on the phone or in the boardroom, talking about the do's and the don'ts and so forth. And he's available for me to ask questions. And one of the things that we talked about was the attendance of board meetings. And it seems that if you're a member of the board, you should be attending, most of the meetings. So, of course, that prompted me to ask the questions. Well, okay, so how about the attendance records of the existing board? I'd like to know how many meetings they attend, because I plan on attending every single meeting that the board has. I do not plan on missing any of them, because otherwise, why would I want to be on the board, right? So my question was, what is their attendance records? And I got an email back this morning, and it not only did it try to give me that information, I didn't get it exactly the way I wanted, but I got the number of, I've got the board and how long they have been on the board, how long their tenure has been. One guy has been on the board of directors of this electrical cooperative 45 years. That's correct. 45 years. A guy I'm running against has been on the board 18 years. Another guy, 13 years. Most of them, 8 years. And here's the point. How do you oppose someone who's been on the board either 45 years or 18 years as a candidate who is not nominated by the nominating committee? And so I asked the general manager of the electrical cooperative, has anyone ever been successful in defeating an incumbent not being nominated by the nominating committee? And the answer is no. So here's what this is an uphill battle. So I'm sure I'm going to be shown the door again. We'll be right back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dr. Shealy, I was reading an article, and it was in the Daily Mail. And here's what it says. It says a newborn baby girl dies just days after contracting a killer virus from someone with herpes who kissed her. And so this baby was born healthy. 2 hours after her parents' wedding, she was rushed to the hospital. Doctors diagnosed her with meningitis HSV1, which is caused by the herpes virus. And it says herpes meningitis can be transmitted by sexual contact or passed from an infected mother to the baby during childbirth. It goes on to say that her parents tested negative for the virus, suggesting it had come from someone who had visited the family while suffering from a cold sore. And it goes on to say that the child had undergone 6 blood transfusions, but her kidneys failed and her liver stopped functioning, and then she died. Now, the article goes on to say, don't let people kiss your baby. What are your thoughts, Dr. Shealy? Is this possible?
Yes, let's face it, you don't have any knowledge of when a virus actually got into the body until it manifests itself clinically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, it could have been there since,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a theoretical point of view, if it had been there since conception, there would have been many more malformations in the body and might have had a miscarriage.
And so the maybe the question or the warning that goes out there to our broadcast classroom is maybe we should be careful with our newborns and our young children, and maybe we shouldn't let them get exposed to people who are sick And, you know, if I had a baby, I certainly wouldn't want a whole bunch of people kissing the baby, especially a politician.
Well, I guess there's an old statement, manure is still manure.
Yes. Yeah. So do you think that should be something that we should take away from this discussion, that maybe we should be really careful where we take our young children and whom we expose them to, and kissing our little children, man, forget it. Just stay away. Do you think that is that? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And by the way, I mean, you have no idea where those politicians have been. You don't know how many houses of prostitution they've been to and what diseases they've contracted. So absolutely keep your children away
from
politicians.
Well, the major house of prostitution is Congress.
It is. It's a cesspool. Even worse. Okay. Dr. Shealy, there's another post, which is kind of the opposite of this one. And it talks about children, and it's okay if they eat food off the floor, play in the dirt. It's important to let children build a stronger immune system by being exposed to mud, pets, and germs. So this professor says, and he says that using a hand sanitizer is more damaging to a child's health than soapy water. That all makes sense. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So playing out in the dirt and going in the woods and the things that we used to do when we were children, all healthy behaviors for building our immune system, Dr. Shealy? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the most studied things is the presence of animals, pets in the house. Dogs, cats especially. Children who grow up with pets like that are far less likely to have allergies. So we do need a certain bit of exposure, I guess, in order to keep our immune system strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes on to say that when children play in the garden in the mud, it's not necessary to immediately sterilize their hands. And he says that this doctor, Professor Gilbert of the Microbiome Center at the University of Chicago says that worries that pets will pass on germs to youngsters are also unfounded. And he goes on to say, in fact, when a dog licks a child's face, it's beneficial for their immune system rather than harmful.
Absolutely.
Now I try. Okay. Our dog TJ, he's a pretty big boy. He's about 200 pounds, and he slobbers, and he he wants to get lots of hugs, and he wants.
Well, now of course, is an exception. He's exposure to him is like 3 other dogs.
It is, and when he shakes his face, and some of that slobber goes, on the walls, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. It's amazing he can do that, but what I do, let me share this. Based on your recommendation, Dr. Shealy, when I empty his dog bowl, his water bowl, which is many, many, many times a day, I will pour it on our plants. I'll pour it on our fruit trees and things like that we have in great big buckets, and they seem to like it. They seem to like the extra bacteria that's in his water bowl. Is that something that you continue to recommend?
Oh yeah, plants will get a few vitamins and minerals.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We talked about the baby, and we talked about, dying from being exposed to meningitis. Okay. Giving up, Dr. Shealy, I've noticed that, and I've talked about this a little bit before, it seems like people are willing to just yield to disease. And rather than get more opinions than just one, it seems that if a person has cancer or a serious disease that is terminal or appears that it could be terminal, if the doctor says, well, just get your affairs in order, it seems like the family says, okay. The person says, after dealing with it for a while, says, okay. But I can tell you that I know of a situation where a woman, and we talked about her on the air, you and I did, she had a tumor right between her eyes. And she went to the hospital, and she was diagnosed with this tumor that was growing, and she was told that it would absolutely kill her. She was going to succumb to this. And there was nothing that could be done, absolutely nothing that could be done. And you and I talked about this weeks ago on the air, and you said that surgery was the only option. And so this woman, who's probably in her 50s, got another opinion. And the other opinion was, oh yeah, we do these kinds of surgeries, and they don't happen all the time, but yes, this is what we do. It is the only option to remove surgically this tumor, and we might have good success. Well, the woman did have the surgery, and she's got black eyes right now from the surgery. It was 11 hours of surgery. The surgery was at least we know of right now. She still has her vision, and so far it was successful. And what I'm saying is, here we have one medical opinion saying there's nothing we can do, you're going to die. The second medical opinion is we can do surgery and we're probably going to be successful. And it looks like the surgery was successful. What has happened?
I would say that's about average.
Really? That's terrible,
I'm not being
Doctor.
facetious. The diversity of opinions is individual, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, I'm looking at the call screen, and I recognize an instructor who is on the line with us, Dr. Jim Caesar, Branson, Missouri, USA Prepares senior instructor, joining us as well. Welcome, Dr. Jim Caesar.
How are you doing? Haven't seen you for a while.
Very, very well. You're on the air with Dr. Norman Shealy.
Yes, I have a question for Dr. Shealy. I have a younger patient who's in his late 30s that was having a lot of fatigue and various symptoms, and he has a low testosterone level. I know one of you've recommended your bliss oils for, I believe, for helping raise the DHEA, and then ultimately that would help with the testosterone. I could not recall which one that was.
Well, that is Fire Bliss.
Fire Bliss, okay.
And
I would rather recommend that to him than testosterone replacement, especially at his...
I strongly agree. There actually are 4 techniques, each of which raises DHEA an average of 60% over whatever you start with. Fire Bliss is at the top of my list, but interestingly, natural progesterone cream is also excellent, and it's very good for the prostate as well.
Okay.
The third is magnesium lotion.
Sure.
And the fourth is Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, which is 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 1,000 milligrams of MSM and a little bit of molybdenum.
Okay. That I will certainly recommend those to him. Also, I have a question for you, because I greatly respect your opinions. It's about one of the other sponsors. I'm thinking of getting on some of the longevity, like tangy tangerine. Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
How do you think those are helpful with replacing the nutrition that we're not getting with our foods?
Okay, we better wait till after the break.
Okay.
Yeah, hold that thought. We've got Dr. James Caesar, medical doctor, Branson, Missouri, USA Prepares senior instructor, Dr. Norman Shealy, medical doctor, usaprepares.com senior instructor, both on the air with us. And we'll be right back. That's Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com. Calling in Dr. James Caesar, Branson, Missouri, medical doctor. Dr. Caesar, you had a question about vitamins, mineral supplements?
Yes, I was asking Dr. Shealy if he felt that like the longevity tangerine was a good supplement to add to whatever other regimen you might be on.
Well, I like the combination of Fire Bliss, magnesium lotion, youth formula, and natural progesterone cream because it raises your DHEA an average of 250% when you use all four of them.
Yeah, okay.
And that, of course, is the best thing you can do for your testosterone level.
Yeah.
And it's safe. When you make it your own,
Yeah, definitely.
it's much safer than taking it.
Dr. Caesar, I have a bottle of Dr. Shealy's youth formula in my hand right here.
Mm-hmm.
I went to his clinic in Springfield, Missouri, and I bought a couple bottles, and I've been taking them. Dr. Shealy recommended for me 3 a day. Now, these are, each one of them is 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C. It's got molybdenum, MSM. And I can tell you that when I first started, I just want to share this with the class, I thought that my stomach was just starting to be a little bit upset. And it went away very, very quickly. And so I take 3 of these a day, and it works great for me. So I'm endorsing this, Dr. Shealy. And it's working fine for me. It really is.
Do you take
Now,
all 3 at once, or do you spread it out?
No, I spread them out. I take them, with meals 3 times a day, just 1 3 times a day. But I want to make sure that we're clear on this. These are 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 2 grams of vitamin C per capsule.
Okay, so you're getting 6,000 milligrams a day.
Yeah, which is way higher than I think the average bear consumes. Isn't that right, Dr. Shealy?
Yes.
Okay, and can you share with us why, Dr. Shealy, you like this quantity of vitamin C in the body?
Well, as late as or early as the late 1970s, it was demonstrated that the optimal health level of vitamin C was 1,000 milligrams instead of the so-called 60 milligrams recommended daily intake.
Right.
So we know that 60 milligrams is highly deficient, especially in today's toxic world. I figure if you add 30 years to that study, and the toxicity physically would probably need 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C to be equal. But 2,000 for an adult is a good level, and most people tolerate it exquisitely well.
Dr. Caesar, have you had the good fortune of experiencing a Myers cocktail?
No.
Okay. May I share that with you very briefly? I went to Dr. Shealy's office in Springfield, Missouri, and I received a Myers cocktail. And the first one I received was 50 grams of vitamin C IV intravenously with some magnesium and some vitamin B in there as well. And the feeling that I got was one of 30 years was shed off me, within a half an hour. Literally, I was racing around. I couldn't believe it. And that got me to thinking about the power of vitamin C.
Right.
The absolute power of vitamin C. Dr. Shealy, am I exaggerating?
Nope, not from what I noticed.
Now it will make you urinate like no tomorrow. However, the amount of energy and vitality and is great. Dr. Caesar, would you like to hold through the top of the hour break? Do you have any questions for?
My better half has a question also for you and Dr. Shealy, so I'll put Tracy on back.
Yeah, and she's also a USA Preparedness instructor. Tracy Caesar, Nurse Tracy Caesar.
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, hold on, and we'll be right with you after top of the hour news and commercial announcements. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. And we've got Dr. Norman Shealy with us, medical doctor. He's with us 2 hours every Wednesday and has been for over 5 years. Dr. James Caesar is calling in from Branson, Missouri, medical doctor. Dr. Caesar, did you have additional questions carrying over from hour number 1? Oh, Tracy.
Hi. Sorry, he had to get busy.
Okay.
I had to crack my whip, so he put me on. I have a quick question for Doc Shealy. I've been seeing lately that the fake dictators of America, which I call the FDA, has banned intravenous vitamin C. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing her.
Okay, Tracy, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I've been reading where the FDA has banned, which I call the fake dictators of America, has banned vitamin C intravenously. Is that true?
I have not heard of that, but they've certainly made it more difficult.
Okay.
Every year for the last 10 years, getting the supplies has become increasingly difficult. But I can't imagine, although I can, if it's the FDA, the most evil organization we know much about,
Yeah.
banning.
Well, it's right up there with the
vitamin
CDC and every other initial, but go ahead.
Yeah, we just were able to order some this week.
Okay. That's good because I'm going to have to hurry up and see you real fast because if they do, then you know what I'm saying? I need to come see you. So, okay, that's all I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Tracy,
I hope you're doing well.
Tracy Caesar, do you know where Dr. Shealy's office is in Springfield, Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. Very good. And I have had the Myers cocktails, and they are absolutely fabulous.
Myers cocktail, is that what it's called?
Myers. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dr. Shealy, do you want to describe for Tracy Caesar, Nurse Tracy Caesar, what that is?
Well, a Myers a cocktail consists of the vitamins and minerals that are necessary to balance when you give an increased amount of vitamin C. So it includes 1 milliliter of what's called B complex 100. So each of the major ones has 100 milligrams. 250 milligrams of dexpanthenol, another 100 milligrams of B6, and 1 gram of calcium chloride, and depending upon how much vitamin C is used, 2 to 4 grams of magnesium chloride, 1,000 micrograms of methyl B12, and 1,000 milligrams of methylfolate.
Sounds awesome. So that's in conjunction with the vitamin C?
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
And the vitamin C, depending on what you're doing, if you've got an acute viral infection, I usually use 25 grams. A moderate problem, I usually start with 50 milligrams, except in people who are well over 160 pounds, and we go up to 100 grams.
Okay.
Now, here is something dated April of this year, 2017, from the Vitamin C Foundation, but it's on the page of United States Food and Drug Administration, and this is to someone. It says they are recommending against somebody advertising liposomal vitamin C, but they don't mention anything about the IV.
Okay. I think I saved the article I had, so I will print it off. Do you have a fax number?
417.
Okay.
267-7116.
Okay, I'll fax it to you.
Tracy, may I ask you?
Those blank, 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 blank do everything they can to inhibit real medicine.
Oh, yes. There's no doubt about it. It makes me sick. Go ahead.
I mean, compared
Tracy
to
Caesar,
the Russians, yeah. I think I'd almost as soon have the Russians as the American FDA.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Without a question.
Nurse Tracy Caesar, may I ask you a question about what you are seeing in clinic today? Are you seeing, not at the moment, but I mean over the last 6 months, 1 year, have you seen any trends that you'd like to share with us? Illnesses, sicknesses, things that you're saying, well, this is a little different from the way it used to be. Have you seen anything that you'd like to report?
A lot of sinus. It seems like there's a lot of sinus infections which are turning to pneumonia and ear infections pretty severely. There's a lot of people coming in with that, which I really attribute to not the bushes and the trees, but the stuff they're spraying over top of us every day.
Mm-hmm.
That, yeah.
I have gotten that, and so has Mrs. Finelli.
Yeah,
pneumonia.
We've had a lot
of
of younger people too. Which is
Mm-hmm.
really kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's odd.
How about cancers? Have you seen an increase in cancers?
Few skin cancers, yeah. And the other thing I noticed, and it's actually been quite a few years, but there's a really, really big thyroid symptom of low thyroid symptoms and hair loss and fatigue. Just the common symptoms that you get with thyroid, low thyroid. And what we found out is that the testing shows that it's normal. Well, you know that it's not because the symptoms are like a tick, tick, tick. You can cross it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, when people's hair is falling out.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shealy, your thoughts on this?
Well, actually, back in the mid-'90s, I did a survey of people at my clinic, and about 80% of them were low in thyroid, and even then.
Well, now they're not. The tests aren't registering low thyroid because you know who sets the.
Well, the tests are no good because the lab test cannot differentiate between fluoride and iodine.
Right.
And so anyone.
And so when you put both of them together, or lose one and have an increase in the other one, that's only like one major problem that fluoride contributes to.
Well, let's face it, again, the whole idea of fluoridating water is in itself insane.
It is. It's marked as a poison. Back in the 50s when they had the cardboard box containers that look like the old-fashioned milk cartons. Yes. Yeah, it's literally got a skull and crossbones on it. It says poison.
Yep.
You're talking about fluoride?
Yes, and they put it in our drinking water, Oh, by the way, I want to tell you something else. Did you know that chewing gum, every single kind on Earth, like literally, it doesn't have to be sugar-free because it just used to be sugar-free, had aspartame in it. Do you know that everything now has aspartame in it? Every pack of gum you pick up?
Well, just more poison for the world.
Right.
And
I called Wrigley's because you know me, I'm kind of shy. So I called Wrigley's. And I said, I got a representative. The poor girl just works there, right? So she just repeats what she's told. And she said, no, ma'am, that's just a preservative. And I said, you're lying. You're a liar. I feel betrayed. It's not right. Because I was thinking I was getting myself just regular sugar gum, right? I'm allergic to aspartame, literally. My stomach hurts so bad. If I take 2 sips of anything, Diet, Coke, whatever, that's how sick I get.
Well,
but they're putting it in everybody's chewing gum. Any pack of chewing gum you buy, that's what you're going to get, aspartame.
Hey, let's face it, the food industry is as evil as the FDA and the tobacco industry.
Yes. Horrible.
I was trying to remember an article that I read about a chemical, if I'm not mistaken, MMTP. I may be wrong, but I think it's close, is used in chewing gum as a softener. And it is in almost all chewing gums to make the material, chewable without being difficult. And it is a disease-causing agent. And I'm going to see if I can find some more information about that. But there is this material that is put in chewing gum to make it soft that is detrimental to our health. So now the answer is, I guess, no chewing gum. I guess that's...
no chewing gum.
Yeah. Dr. Shealy, have you heard of that? Now, this is something that came out maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago that this made the news.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I've known for the last 30-plus years that aspartame is poison. But it was brought to you by your former Secretary of War when he was...
Well, everyone has they get paid somehow.
Yeah.
To continue to promote this stuff, and they have no conscience. Zero. None. They sleep perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, that's what... When I call somebody evil, I mean it.
Evil I know you do because we're both Sagittarians, so we mean what we say.
We tell it the way it is.
Yeah, it gets to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, guys, I got to go. Sorry about that, but we're seeing patients today, and I probably have to work. I might get fired if I don't.
Some people have to work while the rest of us play.
Tracy, I'll write you a note. Hey, thanks so much for calling in.
Okay, see y'all later.
All right. Bye. That was Tracy Caesar, nurse with Dr. James Caesar in Branson, Missouri. So, Dr. Shealy, I was looking, and the basic ingredients of gum are a gum base, softeners, sweeteners, and flavorings. And it says originally chewing gum was made from the latex sap chicle of the sapodilla tree or other tree saps. But now I have a feeling it's artificial ingredients that go into chewing gum. But from what I remember, this softener is really dangerous, and if I'm not mistaken, it can cause symptoms like Parkinson's-like symptoms. I'm going to do some research during the break and see if I can find that article. Dr. Norman Shealy and I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we're talking about chewing gum. And here's what I found. Where is it? There's an article called thankyourbody.com. And it says most gum these days are marketed as sugar-free. But the artificial sweeteners are far from okay. And it says that just one of the ingredients, aspartame, is one example that's been linked to brain tumors, birth defects, and cancer. So if that's not enough for you to stop chewing gum, how about this one? One of the ingredients is BHT, a preservative, a known carcinogen, titanium dioxide. If you buy white paint, for the walls, you'll find that has a whitener, titanium dioxide in it.
Paint your teeth.
Yeah. So, there are
by the way,
a lot of people chew gum. Yeah. Yes.
Aspartame also increases the risk of high blood pressure and seizures, but other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
There you go. Dr. Shealy, back in the 60s, as children in the 50s, a lot of people chewed gum. And, Wrigley's, Juicy Fruit, Blackjack, there were, a bunch of flavors and brands of gum, and it was common. But now, I haven't had a piece of gum in decades, I would think. No desire.
I can't remember
it's
when
not
I
even
last tried it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think we need it. And based on the risks we talked about, why do it? I cannot find that article about the softener that they use. Maybe the Gum Association, the Industry Trade Association, has done something to prevent us from finding that information. But I remember reading that article.
With the American Dental Association, which is as evil as the tobacco industry also. Because they're the ones who push fluoride and silver, so-called, mostly mercury, fillings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have no desire to get any silver or mercury amalgam fillings, none whatsoever. Dr. Shealy, I was reading another article. This is unbelievable. So, when I was in the freshman orientation class at the university, I was in this great big auditorium, and the person at the front of the auditorium, it was like a movie theater. It was huge. The person leading this class or the seminar said, "Okay, freshmen, look to the person to your left. Look to the person to your right. 4 years from now, only one of you will be here." Now, what does that mean? That
they were telling us that in 1949 also. My friend class had exactly that same lecture at Duke.
Yeah. So here's why I'm saying that. I just wanted to make sure that our class got this visual impression of what we're talking about. 1 out of 3, okay? Well, diabetes, or its precursor, now affects 100 million Americans. Now, that's the same as looking to the person to your left, looking to the person to your right. One of you, according to this article at yahoo.com, is saying that almost one third of the U.S. population, 100 million of us, either has diabetes or its precursor condition known as pre-diabetes, and according to a government report. Now, let's extrapolate just a little bit. And it says diabetes is a serious disease that doubles the risk of early death. Complications, the word Dr. Shealy uses, complications, can include blindness, heart disease, stroke, kidney failure, amputation of fingers, toes, and limbs. In addition, erectile dysfunction is linked to diabetes. Dr. Shealy, your thoughts?
Yes. Diabetes type 2 is totally preventable, first of all. And, if you just have common sense, you won't develop diabetes 2. You avoid all of the artificial food in the grocery store, which is 60% of all the food in that store, is what I call artificial food. You avoid sugar, which is not a real food. Sugar is the first artificial food that was ever created. Beyond that, Mrs. Lincoln, you're going to die if you get in front of a gun.
Yeah. So you don't have to do it. You don't have to do this. And you don't have to smoke either. And you don't even have to chew gum. You can avoid all three of those things right now. We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. And that's where you can peruse his offerings if you'd like to get the youth formula, if you'd like to get magnesium lotion or spray, the bliss oils, NormShealy.com. Dr. Shealy, I was thinking about this giving up thing, and it seems that so many people are willing to give up too easily with diseases. And as we were talking about during hour number one, a person who has been diagnosed with a terminal disease, well, the doctor says, I'm going to die, so I'm going to die, and the family gets ready, and everybody says he's going to die, and so they just say, okay, well, he's going to die. And they go into hospice, and he dies. A couple questions here. Number one, is it possible to get well and recover from a disease if you have the mindset, I'm going to die?
It's difficult, but it's possible. Odd things happen. And, actually, when I came out of surgery with a complication back in April, I thought it's time to go, and my dear buddy, Sergei Sorin, convinced me that after 84 years of healthy living, I couldn't go that easily. So I'm here.
Well, Dr. Shealy, I can tell you that there were a number of us who were in a extreme state of panic. We knew that there was something wrong, but we did not know where you were nor how to contact you. And I got one call from your family, and it was kind of cryptic, and I did not know what to do. But I did contact Dr. Sergei Sorin several times, and I knew he was on it, and I knew he was going to take care of it. And thank you, Dr. Sergei Sorin, for coming to the rescue and doing what he needed to do, Dr. Shealy, because the quote was, you were in a bad place.
Well, yes, it was, I would say, the worst place I've been in my 84 years, but it's passed.
Mm-hmm. And we were delighted. Yes.
I do have one bit of other good news. For the first time in several years, we finally have gotten a new supply of working RelaxMate 2 glasses. The RelaxMate 2 is the simplest, safest stress reducer that I know. We have almost 40 years of working with this type of device, which helps put you in a deep state of relaxation at least 90% of the time within 5 minutes. And so we're announcing tomorrow a special for the next 3 weeks, a big discount of $25 off the list price of the RelaxMate.
Tell us how the RelaxMate 2 works. Physically, what is it? How is it used? And how long does it take? Can you explain the procedure, please?
Yeah, Yes, it's a pair of glasses with flashing lights. They're LED lights. You control the frequency of the lights in the two eyes, which are simultaneous, from 0 flashing, which is not of any great value, 1 cycle up to 7 cycles per second. The vast majority of people prefer 1 cycle or 2 cycles for deep relaxation. That actually puts you into delta brain rhythm. And delta is the brain rhythm just before you fall asleep. It's, like, who cares? You can control the brightness, of course, and you do it with your eyes closed. And you can have all blue, which the vast majority of people prefer, or a slight mixture or any gradation of red and blue together flashing, or all red. And but as I said, most people prefer blue light, most people prefer 1 or 2 cycles per second. And you can set it for 20 minutes, which is all I would recommend if you do it during the day, up to 60 minutes, which I recommend if you do it as you fall asleep at night. And, 90% of people within 5 minutes are deeply relaxed without having to work at it.
Mm-hmm. And does this work for almost everyone or everyone?
90%. I always say, you can't even decide whether you're dead or alive without going to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Okay, so for 90% of us, this works. Okay.
Exactly.
And can this be something that the family would purchase and everyone could use it?
Oh, yes. I would have no problem using this on any age.
Okay. And is there any risk with the eyes open and
no,
the lights
there's
flashing?
no risk in it, but you're not going to relax it deeply.
Okay. I had a question. You jogged my memory. This morning I was wondering about, when people see stars and, let's say there's a boxing fight and a guy gets knocked out. The expression was he's seeing stars. Well, what about those little sparklies that people see when they close their eyes at night? Do we know what they are? Little flits of light.
I don't think that. I think it's just the connection of the eye with the brain and not letting go as quickly. In other words, your eyes have been activated, to a greater or less extent for 16 hours all day.
Right.
And you blink occasionally, but most of us don't blink that often, and certainly don't close our eyes purposefully during the day. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a slight sense of exhaustion.
Okay. Age-related macular degeneration. That's a term that I keep hearing more and more. And I know that there's a family member on my wife's side who started she got diagnosed with macular degeneration, and her eyesight deteriorated over the years. Is this something that we can prevent? Is this something that we can reverse?
To a greater or lesser extent, yes. In other words, again, our diet, the nutrition of Americans sucks. Mm-hmm. And even those people who try to pay attention may be missing a lot of things. My personal belief is that whatever we needed as a minimum for health 70 years ago has doubled to quadrupled or more because of pollution today. So what is missing mostly is vitamin A, not necessarily the vitamin A that people know about from fish liver oil, but there's many, many forms of vitamin A, from beta-carotene, lutein, etc., and astaxanthin. But you need a certain significant amount of vitamin A. You need vitamin E. You need vitamin C. You need vitamin B complex, and you need the amino acid taurine. So there's a whole bunch of things as a deficiency that can contribute to the development of macular degeneration. Now, macula, by the way, is a little tiny pinpoint almost on the retina, the actual eye in the back of your eye. It's the nerve from the brain, and we can actually look at it through looking at through the iris. Mm-hmm. And there's a little place called the macula. It's very tiny, and it, of course, is the area where your sharpest vision is. So when you lose the macula, you've lost all of your visual discrimination.
Is it reversible?
Well, if you get it early. Like so many things, if you don't get it early, once, that part of the eye is truly dead, it's not likely to be recoverable.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, the next thing I'd like to talk about is really terrifying. In 1941, Japan declared war on the United States of America. They attacked Pearl Harbor and dive bombed it and killed a lot of our men. And they've declared war again. Japan has declared war on the United States as well as the rest of the world. And I'm not saying this lightly. Here's what Japan is doing. There's an article in the telegraph.co.uk that says, headline, Fishermen express fury as Fukushima plant is set to release radioactive material into the ocean. And it says that the local residents and environmental groups have condemned a plan to release radioactive tritium from the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean. Officials of Tokyo Electric Power Company, TEPCO, the operator of the plant, say tritium poses little risk to human health and is quickly diluted by the ocean.
This is as bad as the FDA.
And let me repeat this, Dr. Shealy. I've said this several times, and just so we can understand. Chemistry class 101 at the university. The professor was in front of this large theater classroom, and he had a quart jar in his hand, and he said, "This is red dye. There's red dye in this jar." And then he said, "We're going to pour this into the ocean, and we're going to stir it around. Mix it top to bottom, left to right, north, south, east, and west. And all the oceans are interconnected. And if we stir it, well, we can take this other quart jar, this empty quart jar, and we can scoop out a quart of ocean water anywhere. Top, bottom, left, right, north, south, east, west. Doesn't matter where. And there'll be at least one atom of red dye in that water." Now, we're talking about dumping about 770,000 tons of highly radioactive water. It's stored in 580 tanks at Fukushima reactor site. And they cannot filter the contaminants. They can filter out some of them, but not all of them. The tritium is unfilterable, and they're going to dump it into the ocean. That's their plan. They plan Japan, the government of Japan, and TEPCO jointly are planning to pollute the entire planet.
Well,
I'm saying
it is beyond stupidity, of course.
I'm saying this is declaring war on every living thing on our planet. And what do? Well, the first thing you can do is boycott everything Japan sells, everything, and let them know if they do this, they're toast, economically toast, while the rest of us are physically toast. We'll be right back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and if you'd like to get the same newsletter that we receive right here at the farm multiple times per week, you can go to normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Same location if you want to buy his youth formula across the internet and have it shipped to you, or the Bliss oils, or the books. The list goes on and on. And there's a section for optimal health, and if you want to do research for your own optimal health, it's all right there. Absolutely free. normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, what I said about Japan is absolutely true, and the government of Japan and TEPCO are really seriously considering dumping tritium and other nuclear waste into the Pacific Ocean, of which there will be no escape, as far as I can tell. Once this happens, there's no getting it back. And unfortunately, the problem is the people who built these nuclear reactors, the greedy individuals who were involved in the design, the approval, the manufacturing, everyone involved, the individual greed, the sum of that individual greed has led to the construction of nuclear reactors along the coastline of Japan, which were taken out by a tsunami, and the reactors melted down. We were told it was 1, 2, 3. The latest information I have is that unofficially that there were 6 reactors that melted down, and the technology that we have to go in there to clean it up, our robots can't even handle the radiation levels and survive longer than a few minutes without failing. So there is no method of cleaning it up that we know of right now, and so TEPCO is saying, well, we're just going to dump it into the ocean as long as the government of Japan approves of it. And where's our State Department? How come this hasn't been stopped right now?
I think it's time to go back to 1961 and On the Beach. If you've never read that book, the time has come while you're still alive to read it.
What Dr. Shealy is talking about is a nuclear catastrophe, and you can read the book On the Beach. You can watch the movie On the Beach, and it talks about the end of life on a continent, and the last few survivors across the ocean are in the direction that the radioactive winds are blowing, and ultimately they're going to be wiped out. Do I remember that correctly, Dr. Shealy?
You've got it.
Dr. Shealy, isn't nuclear power the dumbest thing that we've ever done?
It has to be. I mean, it should never have been developed, either for war or most especially for energy. It has got to be the height of evil ignoring of facts. You know, facts still exist even if you ignore them.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about the first gasoline-powered automobile, okay? The very, very first one. So these guys build it in a garage, okay? They build it in a brick building, and they start the engine up, and they've got the windows closed, and they've got the doors closed, and the fumes are coming out, and they're starting to cough and choke, and they go, wait a minute, this is really bad. We got to do something. If we don't, we're going to die if we don't open the doors and windows. So they open the doors and windows, okay? There's a solution. It's spread out the pollution, the toxins that will kill the people inside the building. Well, in the nuclear power industry, these guys created a system for which the waste, the exhaust, if you want to call it that, has no solution. None. There is no solution that is safe. You can't bury it and have it be safe. You can't treat it and have it be safe. There is no known solution to the waste products of nuclear power generation. None. And yet, these bozos said, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's unleash this on the planet. There ought to be a special place in hell for people like that. And until there's a special place in hell, let's make a special place on the planet for them. Let's incarcerate them right now. Right now.
I think
put them
we
in jail.
Should just have them go bathe off the shore of Fukushima.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Take a nice swim. 5 minutes. There you go. It would be a miserable last few months of their lives. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thanks.
Class, think about this Fukushima situation. It's as bad as it gets.